"12 nostalgic VHS-era supernatural horror movies that you might vaguely remember." There was a significant boom in the horror movie industry following the popularity of the VHS era. Several low-budget gems made their way to audiences who could now simply rent their favorite movies for the night. There were some fascinating horror flicks during this era that combined dramatic elements with a supernatural aspect. Stories that dealt with demons, cults, or the afterlife, stories that created quite a stir among viewers. In this video, we have some of the unsung heroes of that era, the supernatural horror movies that you probably don't remember all that well anymore. Nostalgia trips, anyone? Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
Don't look at him, Karen. Don't listen. They all betrayed you, Karen.
I say, let your anger flow.
The Minion, 1998. The Antichrist can be liberated from the depths of hell to bring about an apocalypse on the earth through a key that unlocks the gate between the realms. This key has been carefully protected by the Order of the Templars, who have been guarding it since the days of Jesus. The Minion is a demonic spirit and a servant of the Antichrist who takes over host bodies and uses them to get the key. Towards the end of 1999, a Templar burial chamber is found beneath New York, and an archaeologist, Karen Goodleaf, is summoned to examine it. However, the Minion attacks in search of the key, and the Templar sends its best man Lucas Sadorov to stop it. Then begins a cat-and-mouse game where the Minion manages to stay one step ahead with its new hosts and evil plans. Can it be stopped before it finds the key and gets to the door? The Minion is a low-budget B-movie where Dolph Lundgren tries to send Satan back to hell. What more can you possibly ask for? The movie is more of a long-winded chase sequence wherein Lucas and Karen are in pursuit of the Minion for almost the entire duration. We could have used a better explanation for the secret of the keys and the door to hell, but the story takes you straight to the juicy bits. The fight scenes, however, are a bit lacking and hardly justify the powers of the evil entity. For the historical references, all the mumbo-jumbo that is used, the Minion borrows from films like The Relic. There are certain shortcomings that stand out in the narrative, but Dolph Lundgren, being a badass priest and fighting enemies, kind of makes up for them. Overall, this can be an entertaining horror flick as long as you don't fret over the flaws.
We're still pals, right? Just follow me, Duff.
Primal Rage, 1988. Dr. Etheridge is doing research on healing damaged brain tissues in baboons. However, the infected baboons inadvertently lead to the creation of a rage virus that turns humans into bloodthirsty killers. While trying to investigate this, a stupid journalist breaks into the lab and gets bitten by an infected baboon. Soon, the virus spreads to other people, including rapists and a lady. Can the protagonist protect his love interest from the violence when all hell breaks loose? Primal Rage is said to be inspired by Cronenberg's Rabid, and we have to admit that the theme is similar. It is easily one of the more graphic Italian horror flicks from back in the day. Blood flows like a river, and the action-packed narrative will keep viewers on their toes at all times. That being said, the acting performances are lackluster, and you won't be able to sit through this movie if you can't tolerate cheesy moments. One of the reasons that Primal Rage died out is because it was released the same year as popular hits like Child's Play, The Blob, They Live, etc. It could still be pretty enjoyable for B-movie fans and is a good choice for a fun movie night with a few beers.
No, she's not.
Mirror Mirror, 1990. Megan is a shy teenager who moves into a house with her recently widowed mother, Susan. The house has a strange, large mirror that is apparently possessed by a demonic force. Megan is subjected to terrible bullying at her new school and soon begins to harness the powers of the mirror to get back at her tormentors. But when things get out of hand, she must find a way to contain the evil that she has awakened. Is there a way to put an end to the horrors of the mirror? If you think this storyline is a bit too cheesy, wait till you watch it unfold before you. The atmosphere is spooky, and the smart camera angles make for a pretty cool visual experience. We loved the innovative climax, which is one of the best horror movie endings that we have come across. For a low-budget movie, the special effects are decent enough. We also enjoyed the acting performances, especially Karen Black in her alluring role. There are some horrifying death scenes, and you should watch out for the bathtub drowning sequence in particular. Some horror fans feel that Mirror Mirror is a ripoff of films like Heather and Carrie, but we believe it's good enough to be appreciated in its own right. Prince of Darkness, 1987. In the basement of an abandoned church lies a mysterious canister with some sort of green liquid in it. The priest of an ancient sect summons the help of physicists to figure out the contents of the canister. They soon find out that the green liquid contains the essence of Satan, and it seeks to unleash the powers of its father, the anti-god. When some of the liquid is released, it possesses a few of the people working there, causing them to take on a zombie form with a murderous rage. Will Satan be successful, or will the physicists and priests come together to find a way out? Prince of Darkness is directed by horror maestro John Carpenter and is often regarded as one of his most intelligent works. The script is pure gold, and we love the scientific, religious, and theoretical discussions that made things all the more interesting. The unnerving ambience is further amped up with instances that highlight the growing power of anti-God. It conveys a sense of hopeless isolation that will give you jitters. Victor Wong and Donald Pleasance return to work in a John Carpenter collaboration, and they are perfect fits in their respective roles. Even the gorgeous Lisa Blount is a pleasant addition to the cast. This is not your average hack and slash movie, but it is a creepy intellectual horror drama that you won't forget in a long time.
That stings. I'm getting stronger.
Shadow Builder, 1998. A cult that worships the evil Shadow Builder summons the demonic entity to destroy the world. Father Vassie arrives just in time to kill the followers, but Shadow Builder manages to escape. It heads to the town of Grand River and targets a boy named Chris Hatcher, who has the potential to become a priest. As the demonic force collects more souls in the town, it becomes even more powerful. Father Vassie joins forces with a local sheriff, and they try their best to protect the young boy from the mighty Shadow Builder. When we talk about direct-to-video flicks, we do not usually have a lot of expectation from them. Shadow Builder will surprise you in this regard, as it is a fine religious horror film that makes the conventional fight between light and darkness interesting. The story is promising, though the script is lackluster. Even then, the demonic entity is well crafted, and the manner in which it turns its victims into shadows is pretty haunting. Unlike the usual B horror movies, you won't see guts flying all over the place. Shadow Builder is more interested in spooking you with its ambience. Michael Rooker as Father Vassie is the standout performance, though the others are rather average. If you are not much of a fussy viewer, this film promises to be a video store classic that is worth watching even today. The First Power, 1990. Patrick Channing is a crazy serial killer who considers his victims as sacrifices to Satan. Detective Logan manages to apprehend him with the help of a psychic and puts Channing through a death sentence for his crimes. The real horror, however, is just getting started. As Channing was a worshiper of Satan, he was granted the power of resurrection by the evil Lord. He comes back from the grave, now more powerful than before, and continues his murders. Can Detective Logan finish him off once and for all? Most of you are aware of the popular Denzel Washington movie Fallen. That was a remake of The First Power, and although it is better known, we love the original as well. This fast-paced satanic horror flick was directed by Robert Resnikoff, who clearly knows the art of an exciting build-up. To keep your adrenaline pumping, there are a lot of thrilling car chases, shootouts, and some nasty dream sequences. There are some jaw-dropping stunts as well, such as the one where Channing jumps from a high-rise building and lands on his feet. In terms of acting, Jeff Kober steals the show as the maniacal killer, and Lou Diamond Phillips is convincing as the detective. Watch out for the climax, it has one of the most unexpected endings in store for you.
What do you want with me?
Gentle child. Sleep, baby, sleep.
Sleepstalker, 1995. A deadly serial killer known as the Sandman murdered an entire family, except one member. As he awaits execution, he is visited by a minister to perform his last rites. However, the minister is actually a voodoo priest and a secret ally of the killer. He places a hex on him so that upon his execution, he can take a new body made of sand. There is just one drawback that is preventing him from achieving absolute power. He has to finish off the last surviving member of the family that he slaughtered. To find out what happens next, you have to watch this fascinating horror thriller. Sleepstalker will remind you of the horrors of Freddy Krueger, being a spin-off of the Nightmare on Elm Street series. This is no horror classic, and both acting and direction are pretty average. At the same time, it doesn't really classify as a campy or cheesy B-movie either. The production team has put in its best efforts to make the most of its shoestring budget. Sleepstalker has its creepy moments, and the eerie, disturbing lullaby will stick with you long after you have finished watching. We love the clever script that contains some witty moments that make light of the situation. The plot never gets too predictable, and a surprising climax awaits you. Yes, it is flawed in many ways, but Sleepstalker is still a film that horror fans will be delighted to watch on a rainy evening. They don't make movies like this anymore. Shocker, 1989. A psychotic TV repairman, Horace Pinker, is responsible for several murders. This serial killer is finally apprehended, and after a death sentence is passed, is sent to the electric chair. However, unknown to everyone, Pinker managed to strike a deal with the devil, where he was granted the power to come back from the dead as an energy source. The murders continue even after his execution, and the local detective and his psychic son Jonathan must find a way to bring Pinker into the real world to finish him off for good. When Wes Craven is in charge of the direction, horror fans can always expect something top-notch, and here he doesn't disappoint. Shocker is his response to the decaying quality of a Nightmare on Elm Street sequels. The film might not be the fall-off-your-chair kind of scary, but it surely does have its moments. We cannot get enough of the scene where Pinker possesses a 9-year-old girl and drives an excavator while trying to kill Jonathan. The final fight between Pinker and the protagonist is also one of the most defining moments of the film. There needs to be a special mention of the breathtaking soundtracks that just amp up the tense moments in Shocker. The narrative drags a bit too much for comfort towards the end, but it still stands out as an underrated gem by Wes Craven. Warlock, 1989. In A Tale Across Time, a warlock who was sentenced to death by a witch hunter in the 17th century takes the help of Satan to escape to the 20th. Satan lures him with the task of finding 3 parts of the Devil's Bible, which, if accomplished, will make the warlock Satan's second in command. The success of this mission can mean the destruction of the world, but the witch hunter is in hot pursuit. He is helped by a lady from the 20th century, and the two try to track down the black magic user. Can he be stopped before he finds the holy relics? This Steve Miner classic is loaded with the inventiveness just like his previous works like House. The script is impeccable, and there are some memorable moments in the narrative that make it a fun movie to watch. One of the best scenes is when the warlock's tracks are being hammered with a blessed hammer, and the warlock is fleeing in agonizing pain. You will also appreciate some stellar performances from the likes of Julian Sands and Richard E. Grant. Julian Sands as the warlock is particularly impressive, and he brings out the best of his evil character. In fact, much like the Terminator, Warlock is focused more on the antagonist than the heroic duo that is out to defeat him. There is an interesting diversity in the film, where one moment is spooky and the next is comical. The well-presented supernatural drama is a delight to watch if you are into this genre.
It's Karen. I've come home, Mama.
Mom, 1991. Los Angeles is plagued by some mysterious animalistic murders. In these times, a kind elderly woman provides shelter to a strange nomad. As luck would have it, this is the man responsible for all the gruesome murders, being a werewolf in disguise. After he bites the old lady, she too turns into a vicious monster. Her son, shocked to find his beloved mother transformed into a werewolf, must find a way to stop her and the strange man from their murdering spree. Mom is a fun and entertaining horror comedy, although the plot might seem like just another trashy, over-the-top horror specimen from the 90s. The execution is refreshing, and Bates is terrific as the titular mom. Her change from a caring old lady to a flesh-hungry monster is simply spectacular. The director Patrick Rand did quite a decent job, considering that this was his first movie. If nothing else, Mom will make you think twice before you piss off your mother.
I'm sorry, Doctor. That includes you. Especially you, sir.
The Rejuvenator, 1988. Ruth Warren is an actress on the wane, and age is catching up to her. She is reliant on Dr. Gregory Ashton's research, who is trying to develop a formula that can retain eternal youth. He manages to create a serum that reverses the aging process, but before proper experimentation is done, Ruth forcibly uses it. While it works, the serum requires Ruth to continuously inject herself with brain fluids from dead bodies. When the lab supply runs out, she has to find victims to meet her need for human brains. This movie is also known to many as Rejuvenatrix and is an intriguing story of science gone wrong. In somewhat of a Jekyll and Hyde type narrative, the protagonist must find constant victims to keep herself young and enchanting. The moment the serum wears off, she transforms into an old hag who must kill non-stop to keep going. There is some graphic violence after Ruth goes on a rampage and removes the brains of her victims. However, do not mistake this for a slasher flick because there is so much more to the storyline. In fact, the story also serves as a strong philosophy in favor of aging gracefully. Despite the budgetary constraints, the special effects are worth seeing, and the last transformation scene will leave you speechless. How often will you find a guilty pleasure with food for thought? It would be a great loss to miss out on this unique horror movie. Spasms, 1983. There is a gigantic satanic snake that emerges from the depths of hell once every 7 years and kills inhabitants on a tropical island. Jason Kincaid somehow has a psychic link with the viper and can see through its eyes when it kills. The snake is brought to the United States for research purposes but manages to escape. It then runs amok, biting and slaughtering people. It is a race against time as the satanic serpent must be contained quickly to stop the murderous spree. The movie doesn't deserve all the hate it gets for being just another killer snake flick. The production team ran out of funds before filming was complete, and this resulted in a collage of flashback scenes being hastily put together to lengthen the duration. With a diminished budget, the special effects are lacking, but director of photography Mark Irwin makes the most of his resources. You will enjoy some well-staged attack scenes, with the sorority house siege probably being the best among the lot. They are even smart about keeping the snake off screen for most of the film to mask their cheap effects. The cast pulls off an impressive performance even in the barely there script, Peter Fonda and Oliver Reed being among the best things about the movie. All we can say is that Spasms could have been a much better film if it was made with a bigger budget and fancier special effects, but as it stands, it is worth watching. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.
Mom, I won't let you hurt her.